afternoon, everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 822. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Jason Smith. He's a former NBA player. He played forward, center. He played with a lot of teams throughout his career, and he played for half the teams that are in the playoffs still throughout his career. So we're really looking forward to this interview. And obviously, I got him on good timing with the crazy playoffs going on, and I'm really looking forward to this interview. We finally made this happen, and first of all, how are you and your family doing so far during this tough time? And hopefully, some positive news come out from this pandemic.
It's been a blessing, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are going through a lot harder times. For me, I'm at home with my kids. I can't complain one bit. There's been a lot of things going on, from playing in NBA and traveling all over the place. You don't really get to spend much time with your family. But now that I've been home for the past year and a half, just like everybody else, I've enjoyed my kids. I've enjoyed taking them to school, enjoying birthdays, holidays. It's been a fun time for me.
Hmm. So I want to start off with your childhood growing up, and when did you realize that you wanted to play sports, and when was the first time that you picked up a basketball? And did you have a role model growing up in the NBA?
I actually always had sports around me. I have three older siblings. It started from a very young age. I was always at basketball camps and basketball games and volleyball games with my sister and my brothers. But for me, sports really got serious in high school. And then going on into college, it was more like I was a student athlete. But then when I had success in college, things kind of changed. The perspective changed. And it was really just a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to the NBA. I mean, what kid doesn't dream of going to the NBA? Like, you always have that backyard basketball of 3, 2, 1, yeah. But for me, my dream came true. And I really am so blessed. I'm so thankful for the journey that I've had. 12 years in the NBA, 2007 to 2019. And like you said, a lot of different teams, but I had an amazing experience while I had my NBA days. But now, talking about basketball, next best thing.
Yeah. So for you, so obviously, did you get to, like, obviously you're power forward, center, and throughout your career though, before the NBA, did you get to play multiple positions? Because now these days coaches like to put players in different positions to guard or whatever. But for you, did you get to play any other positions throughout your career?
It's funny that you say that, because back when I was in seventh grade, eighth grade, I kind of slowed down growing, and I was actually one of the better ball handlers on the team. My middle school coach, mind you, he took a bunch of gruff for this. He put me at the point guard position. Mind you, I was a head taller than everybody else on my team. So typical basketball knowledge says, oh, put him down low, make him do that. I was bringing the ball up as a point guard. I was running the plays. It was the most difficult time, but I had a blast with it. But those little learning curves kind of let you know what the game has kind of transpired to. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It matters your skill level. Can you handle the ball? Can you shoot the ball? Are you good down low? Do you use your body well? I mean, you look at Montrezl Harrell. He's an undersized big. He's a very effective big. You look at Kevin Durant. He's 7 foot shooting threes,
Crazy.
doing anything and everything out there, just mind blowing. But we'll get to him later. But it's just let you know the game has evolved. But I had that opportunity to play point guard, and it really helped me out, because you see basketball in a completely different sense if you play other positions.
Hey, then they should say point forward then, point center. So, like LeBron James and like you said, Kevin Durant does that now. And for you, what were the main things that you learned in high school that before you went to college? But what were the main things that you learned in high school as a player from your coaching staff and your teammates?
In high school, it was the love of the game. It was the basics. It was the bare bones of go out there and have fun with your friends. Do the basics, do the necessities to go out there and win games. And then it gets more competitive as you get into the college ranks, and you learn more and more about yourself and your game, really. And I think that it's going to be a fun time for me. Anybody who's going from high school to college and then college to pros, that's another step of taking the difficulty to another level. And it's fun. You always have to make sure that you are playing a game. It is not a job. It is a game. You get to go out there and do the thing that you love to do. And I really embraced that. I loved playing basketball. I didn't mind what my role was, but I was out there having fun, having some camaraderie with the guys. And it's just one of those great times that you get to go out there and just be free and have fun.
Hmm. So, how many offers did you get coming out of high school, and what made you choose Colorado State?
You know, it's funny that you say that because I had lots of offers. I had Gonzaga, I had Arizona, Kansas. I had lots of big name schools, but my parents, mind you, I was a little biased. They both went to Colorado State, and one of my siblings went to Colorado State. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, those schools are great, but Colorado State, da 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 da. But when I think I had a eye-changing moment when I talked to a GM of the Nuggets, and he said it doesn't matter where you go or how good you are. If you're good, scouts are going to find you. And that really resonated with me. So I got to stay close to home. Plus, anytime that I talked to other players in the college ranks, I always ask them, well, what's one thing that you would change? They always said that they would love to be closer to home because when you get into the college ranks, your time is completely undivided to basketball and school, and you really don't have much time to go home or enjoy with your friends or anything like that. So your time management is key. And when you don't get a chance to go home or you don't get to see your friends, that can kind of weigh on you mentally. And for me, I was happy going to Colorado State. It was a great program at the time for me. It was a great development for me. At the time, I'm not going to the NBA. I'm lucky to get into college. I was from a small town. I graduated with 67 kids in high school. I was happy to be in college, let alone even trying to get to the professional level. I was just having a blast playing some basketball. Then, well, turns out I'm pretty good at it. So they gave me a chance to go to the NBA, and I ran with it. So I can't complain one bit.
Yeah, it's like you hit it on the spot. Like it doesn't, and whoever talked to you about that, the Nuggets give him credit because it's not about which college you go to; it's about how hard you work. And you can like some of these like Hall of Famers went to small schools and they still had a great career. So it doesn't matter about school;
Yep.
it's about how hard you work. And I love these kind of stories on the show, and that's why I love talking about underdog stories, inspiring stories, and you guys are one of them too. So I want to ask you what was it like just going to Colorado State, playing in front of those fans, the atmosphere there, and living your family legacy? The generation like your parents went there, your siblings went there, you went there. So what was it like living that legacy?
You know, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun while I was there. I got to experience the college campus that my parents went to, that one of my brothers, he went there as well. But the fans were great while I was there. We had border wars between Colorado State and Wyoming. Most memorable experiences ever. I stayed for 3 years, and then I had the opportunity to jump into the NBA. And I really can't say anything bad about Colorado State because it was a fun time of my life. Anytime you go to college and you get to play basketball and be a student athlete, it's an amazing time. You do your work, you learn so many things about yourself and what you have to improve on. Time management, like I've said over and over, is really, really key when you go to college and you're a student athlete. And if you master that and you do your work and you put your hard work in and you're diligent about getting everything done on time and repeating the process and not getting bored of repeating the process, you'll have success with it. Either it's in life, in sports, it doesn't matter.
So now I want to get to your draft experience. You had an interesting one because the team that drafted you didn't play with them. You got drafted by the Miami Heat in round 1, 2007, pick 20th. What went through your mind? I want to ask you about this later on, but when you got drafted, so spending time with your family, waiting for your name to get called, and you finally get your name called by Pat Riley, the Miami Heat organization, and having a chance to play with Dwayne Wade, but you didn't get to. But take me back to the process, and when did you find out you got traded, or what happened over there?
You know, it was an exhausting night for me because I had just gotten done with 17 workouts in 20 days, traveling from city to city to city to city, just so that teams could see me. Because going to Colorado State, that's not a basketball school. But I got my name out there. Everybody was impressed enough. I had a call from my agent that I might go from 15 to 20. And lo and behold, 20 comes around. And like you said, you hear Miami Heat and you're like, holy cow, South Beach, here I come, D Wade. It was an amazing experience. And then literally 2 minutes later, traded to Philadelphia. So my mindset switched and I was like, okay, Philadelphia, I could still deal with that. It's the NBA. I'm down with that. I had a great time in Philadelphia. It was an awesome night for me. Family was there. And the funny thing about it was I was in the back room of a bar and we had a private viewing party. However, the TVs weren't synced. So the room out in the main room goes nuts. And we all kind of like, what are they going? No, oh my God, I just got drafted. So it was one of those crazy moments, but I'll never forget that. The TVs were a little bit off sync, but it happened. My family was all there to support me, and I couldn't have been a happier person.
Did they tell you the reason why they traded you? And and also, you played against Dwayne Wade throughout your career, but would have been nice. Nice would have been if you've been his teammate?
It would have been amazing to be his teammate, but I had no idea that I was getting traded. It was kind of one of those preempted, like, oh, we'll draft this person, you draft that person, then we'll switch the next pick. So it was really quick, and it was definitely not unplanned. It was definitely a planned thing that happened. So I was in the NBA. I can't complain.
Yeah. So now, when now heading to your career, starting your journey in Philly, what was the experience like? Obviously, those fans are crazy in Philly, and if you guys don't win, then they're gonna start talking. But so, what was your experience from 2007 to 2010 in Philly? Obviously, playing with Andre Iguodala. That roster was talented those 3 years. So, what did you like about Philly?
You know, I love playing in Philly. We actually got back to the playoffs my first year, so I was a little bit spoiled as a rookie. Got to the playoffs. We played the Pistons, got slaughtered by the Pistons, but still a great experience nonetheless. Got to learn a ton of stuff. My second year didn't go off without a bang. Tore my ACL, partial tear in my MCL, lateral meniscus had a couple tears. So I did a doozy. And for a 7-footer, athletic 7-footer, I was a little nervous about that, but I stayed the tri-trudent path, and I was committed to my rehab. I was determined to get back out there on the court. My third year, I come back, had a so-so year. I was just really trying to get my legs under me. And then I get traded after that. And I was like, man, you know what? I was sad, but I had made so many lifelong friends that I'm still friends with today that I am so happy and so gracious. They were in my wedding. We're still friends today, like I said, and it's an awesome opportunity. The Philly fans are very passionate about their sports teams, a little too passionate at times, but it's fun to see how passionate they are with football or hockey or basketball. But overall, I had a great experience in Philly.
Yeah, the only name that came to mind was Andre Iguodala because I met him in person once before, and he's awesome. What a great player and a great guy. And so if I'm not if I'm not mistaken, you got to play with Elton Brand too, right, in Philly?
Yeah,
So,
very briefly, we had an Eddie Jordan connection.
okay.
Eddie Jordan was our coach. Elton Brand, again, lifelong friend. I did a Broadcasters U with MBPA Broadcasters U, a broadcasting program, and we did that together. We were teammates together. Great guy, on and off the floor. We went out to dinner multiple times. I mean, he's just one of those people that is very infectious, and it's great to be around. And that's why you see the success that he's had with Philly and being up in the front office. True professional in all senses of the form.
Yeah. So now after obviously you got traded from Philly to the Hornets, Pelicans. Let me ask you this because I had players on the show before that experienced different teams throughout your career, throughout their career. But for you, how was it hard for you and your family that you kept moving from team to team? And would you like to, in your career, in your mind, would you like to stay with one team?
You know, it's just a part of professional. You know that you most likely won't be on the same team your entire career. So I just knew it was a part of the job. I was a little upset at the beginning, but I knew it was a fresh start for me. And New Orleans was a great city for me. It was a smaller market, brand new head coach, Monty Williams, which, mind you, Phoenix Suns, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Monty Williams was a great coach for me because he put that standard of what you have to do in the NBA to survive. And I really took that to heart. It was a fun opportunity for me to get a lot of playing time. I got to play with Chris Paul, David West.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Ariza. We had such a great team. We went to the playoffs again that year, played the Lakers again, didn't go our way, but going against Kobe in the playoffs, I mean, come on, you can't beat that.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. The Pelicans, the Hornets roster was, like you said, deep and talented. And the ironic part is Monte Williams is back with Chris Paul now in Phoenix. That's crazy. But for you, though, what was it like playing with a guy like David West? Because Chris Paul in the pick and roll must have been great for you. And what a luxury to have a point guard like that. And was there instances where Monte Williams played you and David West at the same time?
Yes, there was. And it was fun to play with D West because he was a true professional, like no nonsense. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my job. And that's the way it is. And just watching him through film, I was like, all right, If he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
The same thing with Chris Paul. He put me in so many scenarios to succeed. He said, I don't care what you do, just come up, give me a screen. I will find you, shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. And when Chris Paul is telling you this, you're like, all right, I guess I should probably shoot this thing. And he knew exactly. You don't know that you're open when he knows you're open. And he'll pass you the ball on time, on target. All you got to do is shoot it with ease, knock down the shot. It's such an easy game to play when you play with Chris Paul. It was so much fun to play with him. I wish I had more opportunities to play with him throughout my career.
And you also play with Anthony Davis, right? If I'm not mistaken. And not the first stint you did in the first stint, right? You did, and also.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So what was it like playing with him? And obviously he's great, talented, but what was it like having him on the team too?
You know, honestly, when he first got drafted, it was kind of like a baby deer because he was skinny, he was frail, but he was so effective. He was athletic. He could jump. He could shoot better than we thought that he could. So to see his progression throughout the NBA, and then towards the end of my career, a lot of people don't know this, is that I went from Milwaukee back down to New Orleans when he had the whole trade rumors and wanting to go to LA with LeBron. The steps that he took to, one, get his body right, become the talent that he is today, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I got to see him when he first came in the NBA to when he left New Orleans. Oh my gosh, the transformation. I mean, he was always good and always great, but he was a true professional to work on his body, to work on his strength. I mean, he could always shoot. He's a very talented player. So it was an honest, amazing experience to be around him as well.
Yes, and also I want to ask you about when you guys changed jerseys and all. Taking back when you went from the Hornets to the Pelicans, what was your guys' reaction when they did that?
You know, a lot of the guys were a little taken back, but a lot of the guys aren't from the area. They don't realize how significant the Pelican is to the area of Louisiana. And if you live in Louisiana, you know they have children's books about pelicans. They have so many things that derive on their economy derive from the Pelican. So at first everybody was like, it's not really the most intimidating name, but I guess if you put really blood red eyes for the Pelican, it could be intimidating. They got to the playoffs a couple times. They'll have success in the future. I mean, obviously this year wasn't their year, but they still have a talented team in Zion and the cornerstone of that franchise right now. So it's fun to watch, and it's fun to know that I was that first team of the New Orleans Pelicans. It is an awesome experience for me.
Yeah, and I felt like because we watched you throughout your career, and I felt like that your career jump started when you were with the Pelicans in 2014, and that's when you started to get your feet wet and got a lot of playing time. I think the Pelicans helped you throughout your career, and now.
Absolutely.
And obviously, you played for my favorite team. I'm a big New York Knicks fan. You played in the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. You played with Carmelo Anthony, Metta World Peace, Raymond Felton. This team was talented. So what was it like playing in the Mecca, Madison Square Garden in the roster?
You know, it's once in a lifetime because, like you said, it is the Mecca of basketball. You have the aura of the lit up court, but the dark fans in the stands. So it's fun to go there and just play a game, let alone be on the team, because the fans are passionate. I mean, they are extremely passionate. That building is from game 1 to game 82 playoffs, even more. Every single shot, it seems like every fan is on the edge of their seat, just waiting for it to go in. And to play with Melo, play with J.R. Smith, I mean, it was a fun experience for me. We didn't have the best team, but boy, we had some fun because it was amazing to just hear the crowd. They would hold you accountable too. If we weren't playing good, you're going to hear the boos, you're going to hear the chants, you're going to hear the But then if you're doing well, the roof came off of that building with every single shot, every single bit. It doesn't matter who even made it. It could be Melo, it could be the 15th guy off the bench, but that place would go nuts. So absolutely amazing experience in my career.
And what was it like playing underneath a coach like Mike Woodson?
You know, I actually had the Derek Fisher era.
Oh, sorry, Derek Fisher. Yeah, Derek Fisher.
Mine was a little bit different than the Mike Woodson era. So Derek Fisher was a learning experience, to say the least. We had the Zen Master and Phil Jackson on the front office, so it was interesting.
Yeah, so obviously you had great point guards in New York. You played with Raymond Felton, Chauncey Billups was on that team too. But I think he was. Yeah, was he? Yeah, he was. And also, you play with a guy like Pablo Pedroni. What was that like? Because I think he's the most talented passer I ever seen in the NBA.
Pablo was one of those guys. He was an older guy, but he
Yeah.
came in, he did his job.
Yep.
Everybody was like, he can't do anything. He would play defense. He was crafty. He wasn't the fastest. He couldn't shoot the greatest, but like you said, that man could pass the ball. He was a distributor at heart. He was a point guard at heart. He knew that he didn't have to go score the points. He had to get other people in position to score the points. And that's exactly what you want from your point guard. I love playing with point guards like that just because I'm a little selfish. I like to shoot the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was fun to play with him and learn from him how he took care of his body. I think at the time he was 37, 38 years old. And I was just amazed at one, how in shape he was, how well he took care of his body. But that's what being a professional is all about. You're not going out having Popeyes or Taco Bell all the time. You're eating clean. You're getting your sleep. You're making sure that you're in the training room, listening to the trainers and what you need to do to keep your body going, because that's really your money maker. And just to see him do that on a daily basis, not cutting corners, that man was awesome.
Yeah. So now moving towards your career, you obviously played for the Magic too. What a great roster you play with there. Nikola Vucic. You played with my guy Channing Frye, Victor Oladipo, Luke Rittenauer. Man, go through that roster when you were in. What was your experience like in Orlando? Because I can go on with this roster because I love I love the Orlando days back in the day. So
Yeah, Orlando was a young team. They hadn't quite figured it out. They had Alfred Payton and Victor
yeah.
Oladipo and Tobias Harris and
Yep.
Aaron Gordon,
Yep.
Evan Fournier, Vucevic. Like if you keep that team together, you would think, man, that is a perennial playoff team that has some championship hopes. But things just didn't pan out. Sometimes they don't pan out with younger players, so they split the team up, split the guys up. Each guy's had individual success wherever they've gone, and it's fun to see everyone have that success. Fournier's in Boston, Gordon's in Denver. I mean, they split the Vic. He's been in a couple different places, but that's just the way the NBA is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If the front office doesn't see that you're going to make progressions in the right direction, they're going to split you up. But I liked Orlando just because the weather was nice. It was warm, the affordable living down there. My family was down there. My daughter was born and she was able to enjoy a pool. So anytime I was home, we could go out and have fun in the pool after practice, whatever. So family got to come down and see Disneyland or Disney World. It was a fun experience. I enjoyed Orlando. It's probably one of my favorite spots.
yeah. So obviously in Orlando, you guys had a lot of big men throughout your career. And was
Yeah.
it tough? Was it tough for you? Obviously, you had a great team, but was it tough for you? Was it easy for you to play with Vucic and the other big men they had?
We have Vucevic, Dedmon, Channing Frye. Uh, I think we traded mid-season for Ursan Ilyasova. So there's a lot of options down there, and we did our best, but you had to go out there and fight for playing time. It was competitive. I mean, Channing Frye, he got traded because he wasn't happy with his playing time. Dwayne Dedmon was starting. Vucevic, he was starting. So it was a crazy thing, but we all just went out there to try and compete for some playing time. That's all you really can do.
Yeah. So now moving on to the Wizards now. I'm going by team by team for you. So so going to the Wizards, you got to play with Bradley Beal, John Wall, Markieff Morris, Trey Burke. What was it like in playing in Washington?
Washington was probably the best moments of my career because it was coming down to an end. You kind of appreciate every year and every season. And we had high hopes in my first year. John Wall, Bradley Beal, Keith Morris, Marcin Gortat, Otto Porter. I mean, you could go on and on down the list. We had a very good team. We went to the second round. We matched up with Boston.
Yeah.
Had that game 6 shot from John Wall. Didn't go our way in game 7, but just to have that experience of playing a game 7 in Boston and going really to the second round and experiencing the crowd in DC, it was an awesome time in my life because I had my son, I had my daughter, so I was enjoying life at the time. And it was really one of those things that you're never going to forget because it was the twilight years of my career. You always think you're going to play forever, but you remember those twilight years because you really take into appreciation where you are and how hard teams work and the different things that go on with the coaching staff. And we had a blast while we were playing. We had even more fun together off the court. It was just one of those teams that kind of gelled. And the fact that things didn't pan out, we didn't get past the second round. We lost to Isaiah Thomas and the Boston Celtics. It was a heartbreaking defeat, but is one of those years that I'll always remember. And then the years after that, you always build the camaraderie, and things kind of every year is different. Guys get traded away. People don't get re-signed. So every team is going to be different on any given year. It just didn't happen that way. And that was the time in my career where I was going from place to place, and the next place I went to, Milwaukee.
Yeah. And speaking of, does it even feel more special when you have kids wherever you play, and obviously when your kids grow bigger, you can tell them that I was playing in that city when you were born.
Yeah, it'll be a fun experience. I wish they might have been a little bit older, but at the same time, I don't wish that they would have been older, because that would have meant I would have been way more tired if I was younger.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kids, they know that I was a basketball player. It hasn't quite hit them just yet because they're not old enough, but they're going to look back and they're going to see the jerseys and they'll see the game film and they'll know that their dad played in the NBA for 12 years and held his own.
So now you play for the Bucks and you ended your career with the Pelicans, but I want to get to the Bucks because this is enough. In your career, you played with a lot of great players, a lot of great teams, and a lot of great coaches. But this team, I feel like, had the most young, talented team, in my opinion. You had Giannis on that team, Shabazz Muhammad, Tyler Zeller. What was it like just playing with Giannis, the Greek freak?
You said it right there, the Greek freak. He's a guy that goes out and works hard every single day. He is not the typical superstar of superstars. He is the most down-to-earth superstar. He has the work ethic to get better, even after winning back-to-back MVPs. It was an awesome opportunity for me just to kind of see firsthand, all right, what's he all about? Like, I've played with Chris Paul. I've played with Andre Iguodala. I've played with John Wall, Bradley Beal. I've played with all these guys. What are you like? I was completely surprised at how hard he actually works, how down to earth he is, how well he takes care of his body at such a young age. To have that mindset, he's already ahead of the curve. And to see the physical transformation that he's made over the last couple seasons and the stats to prove it, not to mention his trophy case has gotten a little bit bigger. Back-to-back MVPs is no easy feat. I think the last thing that he needs to do is to go out there and win in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to seeing that happen this year.
Yeah, so now I want to ask you about you're a type of player that you can stretch the floor, shoot threes, and you brought the defensive mindset to every game. That's what I like about you as a player. And especially this generation, you see guys like Brook Lopez who can shoot threes now. So what's it like for you, a former big man that played in the league, seeing these other big men translating their games to outside now, shooting threes?
Well, you really kind of have to with all the guys. It's transforming into a 3-point run and gun type of game. And it's a dying breed of the big man. You still need to have guys who protect the rim, but you also have to be able to have the ability to shoot. It's no longer get it into the post and let them go to work down low. It's a space the floor. Threes are better than twos kind of game. So it's fun to see that transition, but it's also one of those things that you kind of miss the old days of Shaq. Now, I'm not saying I ever want to go against Shaq in his prime at all, ever. But it was a fun opportunity for me to watch the game kind of evolve through my career, because it was kind of the old sense of, oh, we'll get it in the post, we'll work it inside out. But then it went to Steph Curry ball of shooting 30-footers, 40-footers, and shooting it with consistency. Like, how do you defend that? If you're a 7-foot guy, you're trying to have me go out onto the perimeter and defend Steph Curry shooting a 40-foot three when he can drive past me, get to the rim, and get a layup. So it's a mind-boggling thing to kind of wrap your head around, but that's the way the game is now.
Yeah. So now looking back at your career, you had over 3,000 points, over 2,000 rebounds, over 400 blocks. How grateful are you to be in this position to play the game that you love, work hard every day, and play with great teams? And do you deserve? I feel like with these numbers, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But I don't know. Do you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
No, definitely not in the Hall of Fame. There's much more deserving people. I was happy to be out there. Yeah. I was happy to have the longevity that I did. I've set myself up for the rest of my life as long as I'm smart with my money and I have a beautiful family. I can't complain one bit. The NBA gave me an opportunity to set myself up for life. I've been smart about it. it's opened so many doors for me now, getting to talk to you, getting to be on NBC Sports broadcasting, talking about basketball. I can't complain one bit.
So what's it like now transitioning from a different career, now being an analyst? Obviously, you work for DC Sports and you work with great people like Quentin Mayo. Obviously, you cover the Wizards more. So what's it like just to cover the game of basketball and from a different aspect and sharing your story as a player to different people?
It's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been a little bit difficult just because you're trying to figure out the new realm that you're in and figuring out how things work. And obviously with the pandemic, things have been way different doing satellite and working from home, not actually being in the studio or the arena. But the guys that I work with, Wes Hall, Chris Miller, I mean, they've been great the entire season. We've had ups and downs. There's been COVID stoppages. There's been bad play from the team. There's been good play from the team. So you kind of ride that wave, and it really kind of keeps me close to the game, makes me pay attention that much more to not only the Washington Wizards, but everybody around the league. And that's why I absolutely love the fact that playoff basketball is going on right now. It's something for everybody to kind of get away from the pressures of life and just to go out there and watch the fun of the game. And mind you, these last couple nights have been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get to the fun stuff now, actually. And obviously, you play three. I think three of the four teams that you play with are still in the playoffs. With the Sixers, Bucks. Bucks are facing elimination tonight, but and then the Wizards were in there. The Knicks were in there. The Knicks are back. But I want to ask you though, from the start of the playoffs, how great was it to see new, fresh blood in here in the playoffs this year, like the Hawks, and which is surprising right now, but.
It's funny that you say the Hawks being a Knicks fan. I thought you were a Knicks fan, but
I'm a Knicks fan.
Whatever. It's okay. It's okay. But no, it was fun to see the Knicks get back into the playoffs. Yeah. I was really sad to see Julius Randle have the performances that he had, but he had an amazing regular season, and Tom Thibodeau had that team clicking on all cylinders. I wish they would have gotten past Atlanta. But like you said, Atlanta's another one of those teams that was kind of revamped for this playoff run. Now they're putting the 76ers in the brink of elimination. So it's fun to watch them go out there. Trae Young's playing the role of the villain right now. He loves to talk to the crowd and talk to the players, but he's an undersized guy. He has to go out there and play with that type of confidence to go out there and have some success. It's fun to watch the playoffs right now, especially with the drama that's unfolding, because both number one seeds on the East and the West are in trouble.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about real quick here before we get to this rapid fire segment. But so to me, the Bucks are Charles Barkley put it as a great point on NBA TNT. I think sometimes it can be crazy, but he's a good analyst. But I think the Bucks are a team. They're talented, but they don't know how can I say this? They don't know how to put it together, and sometimes they make stupid plays. What are your thoughts on obviously your former team? What are your thoughts on the Bucks? And do you think they're in trouble tonight? If KD has a game, I'm not saying he's going to have the game that he had the last time, but if KD has 35 points and James Harden scores 25, do you think they're done, the Bucks, tonight?
It's funny that you say that, because the Bucks are very resilient to try and make adjustments on the fly in the playoffs, and it's hurt them the last two seasons. The first year they ran into Toronto. Last year in the bubble, they weren't the same team coming into the bubble. They had a lot of social issues and really systemic issues going on in the public. So I don't really think they were focused on basketball. This year, they weren't the number one seed in the East. They were third. They were coming behind the Sixers and the Nets. But I honestly don't think that KD is going to have another historic performance like that to save the Nets. James Harden's going out there playing on one leg, and Giannis has been on a tear. If he can get a little help from Chris Middleton, from PJ Tucker, maybe PJ Tucker can poke KD in the eye again or something. I don't know. But this series has been fun to watch. It has been back and forth. It has been exciting. You would think, with no Kyrie, no Harden, the Nets are done. The Bucks are taking this. It hasn't been that case whatsoever. As soon as Kyrie went out, when Harden went out, KD raised his game just that much more. And it has been, oh my gosh, insane to watch. And that's the beauty of playoff basketball. I still think, however, the Bucks are not going to go home on their home floor. Mm-hmm. They're going to win game 6. Then you got to see, how is James Harden's health doing, and what is KD going to be able to do? Because in that last game, he played all 48 minutes to have that historic night. I don't see him going out there trying to have a repeat performance like that in Milwaukee. Now, maybe in a game 7, he could possibly duplicate that, but I don't see the Nets getting past the Bucks. I'm sorry, I'm picking the underdog.
Oh, I mean, that's what I'm concerned about, because if I were the Nets, you got to end it in game 6. You got to end this tonight, because you don't want to go to game 7 and
they need the rest.
Yeah, they need the rest for the next, if they do go. But and you don't know, Kyrie might come back for the next year, so I'm picking the Nets tonight. I feel confident in the Nets, and I think they'll end it tonight. But you ready for this rapid fire segment?
Let's go.
All right, favorite memorable game that you played it throughout your career?
Game 6 in DC, the John Wall shot.
Favorite memorable game that you played against Dwayne Wade?
Ooh, Dwayne Wade. Man, that's a toughie. I think the first thing that comes to mind is I set a screen on him when he was playing in Chicago. He wasn't in Miami Heat, but he was with Chicago, and he thought that I just completely killed him. Okay. I did not move. He was complaining to the refs.
Oh, man. It
was kind of one of those things, because if I say any other Dwayne Wade moment, it could be him crossing me over, making me look silly. So I'm not going to put that out there.
So what? I'm sure the Sixers are getting roasted today with the 26-point what do you call it, drop. So what are your after seeing what happened yesterday? Do you think the Sixers are done, or?
The fact that they have given up 2 games where they had 20+ point leads, that's a little concerning. And the fact that they're going back to Atlanta on an elimination possibility, there could be some trouble for the Sixers.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And what are your thoughts? Obviously, you play with Monty Williams and Chris Paul. What are your thoughts on the Phoenix Suns? And obviously, Chris Paul's out now with the protocol stuff. And do you think the Suns can still win without him?
The Suns need the Jazz and the Clippers to go to a game 7, because they need those extra days of rest. One for Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul being out with COVID, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they've already advanced. They don't have any pressure to win any games right now. They're just waiting for the winner of the Utah and the Clippers game. So I think for COVID, it's never a good thing to have a COVID positive test. But he has the time to recover. He may not be around for maybe the first game or the second game, but if it's in that 10 to 14 day protocol, or maybe even sooner than that, I'm not sure exactly what the protocol is, but if he's available to come back, that will be great. Plus, he's dealing with that shoulder injury, neck injury, whatever it may be. So with him being out with COVID, he's giving his body time to recover. And that is absolutely key, because that Suns team is good. Yeah. But they're even better with Chris Paul. You've seen the Chris Paul effect going from Houston, going to OKC, where they had no chance of making the playoffs. Guess what? Chris Paul had other plans. He took that team to the playoffs. I was really rooting for them to beat the Houston Rockets, the team that he got traded from, but it just didn't happen. Then you insert him into the Phoenix Sun team, where last year in the bubble, they went 8-0. Monty Williams has changed the culture. You add Chris Paul, you add Jay Crowder, couple other pieces here and there, that team is really, really good.
Right. So what was your most memorable game that you played against the late Kobe Bryant? And do you have any other memories throughout your career with him?
Kobe, I got to play against him in the playoffs in 2010-2011 season with the Hornets. And I never played that much in the games, but the times that I did play, there was a time Kobe was driving to the rim on the right side of the basket, and I was the bottom weak side defender. I said, there's no way Kobe's getting to the basket. I'm going to get over there early. I'm going to cut off the baseline. I tell you what, he dropped his shoulder and put it directly into my chest. And I thought I was going to be get him out of bounds. He let me know who was top dog. I felt that. I put him on the free throw line, but every time I was sitting at the free throw line trying to catch my breath after he gave me a shoulder shiver straight to the sternum. And I was like, okay. Yep. Let's play out basketball. Let's go, Kobe. All right.
That's crazy. So now obviously you cover the Wizards now. What do you like about the future? Obviously they were in the playoffs, and actually I had 2 of their assistant coaches on the show, Landon Tatum and Alex McLean on the show. And It was awesome to talk to them to get more insight. But what do you like about the Wizards' future?
Bradley Beal, first and foremost, you got to give him his props. Third all NBA team. I mean, he is a talent that has gotten better and better every season. He should have been an all-star the year previous, but he came out. He was an all-star starter. He was leading votes on the East. It was great to see his success, but also having Russell Westbrook, the Mr. Triple Double. I know, obviously, with Coach Brooks being fired, not brought back. He served his 5 years. He did great during his 5 years. He took a team that was not expected to make the playoffs this last season. They had to deal with some crazy things. I mean, there's so many things that you just don't get to see behind closed doors. But the fact that they got to the playoffs, I think it gave him a chance to end on a good note. They didn't bring him back. Now you go out there on the coaching market, you try and figure out who you're going to bring as the next head coach. You want to make sure that Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook are happy with the coaching change. But this team is young. Adding Daniel Gafford, a lob threat big, a shot blocking big, a defensive presence down low. But then you also have Thomas Bryant coming back from an ACL injury. And if you have him even a shred of the energy that he had before, he's going to be a dangerous person out there on the floor. Plus, if you got Davis Bertans as a three-point shooter, this could be a very dangerous team if they put all those pieces together, get the right head coaching selection, and go out there and do their job. It's going to be fun to watch the Wizards next year.
Yeah, speaking of head coaching, we have 6 openings already. It's crazy. And I don't know if the right opportunity comes about for you, would you consider putting your name in there?
No. I'm not a head coach. I like to talk basketball. I don't need to head up a team and have that responsibility. That is a stressful job. You got to deal with the egomaniacs of the NBA players. Maybe down on the low. I don't want anything to do with that right now.
Do we finally see our first female coach now?
Maybe Becky Hammond. Watch out, CSU alum. Now I like where your mind's at. CSU. Yeah. I see where you went there.
How about Teresa Weatherspoon for the Pelicans?
That's actually not out of the question. There's so many females that have been assistant coaches, and they are proving themselves. And it's fun to see that kind of transition, because there's that respect factor out there that it's not just a man's world anymore. You have to go out there and you have to respect the fact of the knowledge and the expertise that the women bring to the game as well, because it's not just a men's game. You got the WNBA, the competition levels down there. And speaking with tons of players from the WNBA, it's amazing to see how competitive they are and how the knowledge that they have of the game. And to bring that to the NBA, it's only a matter of time when that happens, whether it's this year or years to come.
So is it time to lift off the interim tag on Nate McMillan now?
The fact that he was very hesitant to take the head coaching job in Atlanta, I understand that. That's kind of a respect factor. But what was Indiana thinking when they got rid of him? Mm-hmm. I mean, good gosh, that is a head coach right there. He did a phenomenal job this season of turning that ship around, because Atlanta had the talent, and it's showing right now. The fact that they're up in the series, they beat, your Knicks.
Yeah.
They're coming back. They're holding their own with Philadelphia. They were down 26. They never stopped fighting. I mean, that just shows you the resiliency that team has. That's an amazing coaching job right now, and you cannot give him enough credit for what he's done right now.
Who do you have in the NBA Finals?
I've actually got the Suns going to the finals, and I hate to say it, but I'm sticking with my Bucks, because if Philadelphia can't get past the Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks take care of the Nets in Game 6 and Game 7, it's going to be tough for Atlanta to try and get past Milwaukee. But now when you get down to the Suns and the Bucks, it's going to be a game of making adjustments, and I just don't know if the Bucks can make those adjustments. I'm torn, because I played with Milwaukee. My old head coach, Monty Williams, and my old point guard, Chris Paul, play for the Suns. I'm happy to see what they're accomplishing. So I'm a little bit torn on the aspect of who's going to win the championship. I just hope it's some good games.
Yeah, I got the Nets and the Suns in the finals. So
I really think the Nets are going to go past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Nets are too tough. I think after the Bucks blowing that lead too, today, I think that it would be tough for them to obviously they're home, but you never know. But I think it's gonna be tough for them to overcome that, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's just the fun of the NBA. I've been sticking with the Bucks the entire time. I really hope they put it to the Nets because then I can have a little bragging rights with my fellow NBC Sports comrades. But I really hope the Bucks can get it done because they've had so many opportunities the last 3 years, and if they don't get it done, that's where you got to question the head coaching of Budenholzer. And is he out? Is he staying? Is he going? It's going to be interesting to see what they do after this season, regardless of what happens if they win or lose.
So a couple more things here. This is a 2.1. Funniest teammate that you play with and funniest person that you work with right now.
Funniest teammate that I played with was probably Channing Frye. Hilarious. That man is hilarious. You could just watch him in the backstage of the shows, not even on the show. Just watch him backstage. Hilarious. What was it? What was the second part of the question?
Oh, funniest person that you work with right now in studio.
Funniest person that I work with right now, probably Chris Miller.
Mm.
He is a riot, let me tell you. He always gives me crap about the Milwaukee Bucks. He's giving me crap about the sixth man of the year. He's giving me crap about the MVP. I mean, come on now. I think I know a little bit about basketball. The fact that I picked the MVP, he stuck with Embiid the entire season. I said the only reason Embiid's not going to win that MVP is because he didn't have enough games. The Joker, he played the entire season averaging those numbers. He's basically the best player on the team. Now, granted, they got swept by the Suns, but whatever. All I know is that I got the MVP right. Then sixth man of the year, Julius Randle. I wasn't sold on the concept early on, but late, it was just hard not to pick him. I mean, he most improved, sorry, not sixth man of the year, most improved. It was hard not to pick him. The success that he had, Tibbs got that team back to the playoffs solely in part because of the play of Julius Randle and what he did for that team. It was fun to watch him have the success up there, and it was fun for New York to really kind of embrace that success that that team had. But now the finals, I have said that Milwaukee's going to keep on going. I'm hoping that they don't make me a liar, because if they do, I will never hear the end of it from Chris Miller.
Yeah. So speaking of, we got to get Channing Frye on the show because I've been reaching out to him. He sees myself sometimes, and obviously he's part of the Allie Clifton crew. So he knows that I had Allie Clifton on the show too. You got to help me get Channing Frye.
He is a absolute riot. He could talk for days about basketball. He could talk about food. He could talk about wine. I mean, the man is you could sit there and just listen to him. He is funny.
Yeah. So for you, what's it like sharing your stories now on these platforms and going on other people's shows and telling about your experience?
You know, I'm still trying to recall the stories and experiences that I had over the 12 years, because as you go, you just keep on going from one city to the next to the next. And being with NBC Sports, there's been so many times that the producers would be like, oh man, you were part of this game. And I'm like, wow, I really wasn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many times where I don't realize the amazing experiences that I've had. I really should go back and just kind of recap my entire career game from game and just embrace the moments that I had the opportunity to be a part of, from rookie season all the way to the end. It was a journey and a half.
So before we get to the last two things, I've been asking this question along. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm kind of curious why Kevin Durant would never play for his hometown team in Washington.
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure either. I think that DC tried to do it by getting Coach Brooks in DC, but Kevin Durant wanted to do his own thing. He went up to New York and did his thing in Brooklyn. I honestly just think it was a business decision, because anytime you go back and you play for your hometown, it can be a little bit stressful trying to get people tickets, trying to make sure that everybody's accommodated in the arena, the pressures of kind of carrying a hometown team from where you live. So there's a lot of guys that don't want to deal with that pressure. And some people do. Some people have had success with it. LeBron played for his hometown team. I mean, you saw D Wade later on in his career go back to Chicago and play. Didn't really have the success that he did in Miami, but it's one of those things that some guys choose to do it and some guys don't. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Actually, speaking of LeBron, real quick, what are your thoughts on his tweets yesterday?
You know, he was actually right, because this is tough for the NBA players to go from having a season being drawn out so far from COVID and being in the bubble, and then having the season start only 74 days later. That's tough to do. I mean, everybody expects us to go out there and just play the game of basketball, but when you're playing a game every other day against the world's best competition, your competitive spirit kind of gets the best of you and you don't start to listen to your body, the aches and pains. And that's where you see these injuries. And if you're not going to get to see the best players out there perform, then it's not really helping the game of basketball overall. It's fun to watch the playoffs the way that it is, but you're watching it without Kyrie Irving, without James Harden being James Harden. You're seeing KD put on amazing performances, but Jamal Murray with the Nuggets, that could have been a different series if he was out there. So all these guys that are getting injured now, Kawhi has a knee injury that could change dramatically. I mean, the Clippers are a different team without him out there. Paul George did a KD to keep the Clippers alive. So I think it's just a testament to show you that, hey, there is some science behind having some rest and recovery from all these amazing athletes. Because if you go too hard for too long, things will break.
Did you reach out to LeBron afterwards? Or?
No, I did not reach out to LeBron. I mean, I never played with the guy. He knows exactly who I am. I know who he is, but there's no, I wish I had that, friendship, because I'd be like, hey, what's up? How about them shoes?
Yeah, but the last few things here before I let you go, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help and prevent human trafficking and making sure the kids stay safe and the community stays safe. So it's so horrible out there what I'm seeing with that. So I'll send you the page so you can go check it out.
I'll definitely check that out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
To all the nurses, doctors, essential workers, thank you. Absolutely 110% thank you for all that you have done through this incredibly hard time for everybody. The sacrifices that you have done, being away from your families for extended periods of time, just being there for all of us for the better of the whole group as a whole. I just want to say thank you to them, because without them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 822 with former NBA player Jason Smith. He played center, forward, and now he covers the game. He covers with the Washington Wizards. Man, what a great analyst he is, and a great player that he was back in his career. And thank you again for coming on the show. It's truly an honor. Go follow him on all social media formats. Everybody check out this interview. I'll be posting this on all social media formats. Keep up the great work, Jason. We would like to have you back as a returning guest at some point so you can meet the full team. But man, this has been awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.